Hello everyone, this is Susan from Susan Hiles Art. I wanted to just pop on and let you know that I am starting Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 3, which is geared around flowers, and I'm excited about this, and I want to take you along on that journey with me. So today, the first thing that I want to do is share with you the composition of my snippet roll and what my plans are. And they kind of changed since last Wednesday and just a little bit. So I want to share with you what I've already sewn and what my thought process is, and then we're going to do just a little bit of sewing for the first part of this video. And then I will be back and I will be sharing with you what stitches I decided to use for my flowers. But here goes. This is my plan. It took me a while to come up with this, but thank you, Sarah, for mentioning Pinterest. And I went to the library today and I asked for if they had embroidery books, and they have this one. It's really big and heavy. Erica Wilson's embroidery book. I'm sure it's like 100 years old, but you know, the stitches are the stitches, right? And it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like, you know, there's enough stitches in here and explanations of stitches that I'll be able to get maybe a couple ideas from this. You know, this is what it looks like on the inside. So I figure, well, hey, it's free, right? And for a few weeks, I'll take a look at it and see what stitches I can maybe use from it. But here we go. As I mentioned in last Wednesday's video, where I shared all of the everything from my stash that I'm planning, you know, to pull from for this project, I had mentioned on there that even though I am making a snippet roll, that I will be hanging this on my wall. And so I'm excited to do that. And I also mentioned last Wednesday that putting a path onto this was going to be secondary, that I wasn't going to worry about it, right? I was going to really focus more on the flowers. And then as I thought about it, I'm like, well, it kind of made more sense to me that, well, what if I put the path on it now? Because then that will help to I want to say dictate where I'm going to put the flowers. For example, this right here, and I'll talk more about that, is my part of my path going through the garden. And because I have this sewn on here now I know that this is one section where I'm going to be putting some flowers, whether it's embroidered or whatever else, right? This is going to be a section, and it creates another section here. So in my head, I feel like I need it to be sections, but I didn't want to use blocks. I wanted to do something different, hence the lace right on the substrate, which is like this canvas fabric. And what I decided to use for my path was my scraps of fabric. And it was interesting because as I went through this, I realized I really needed to be careful on what kind of colors for the path that I wanted. Because, for example, let's just say if I used like this yellow, which is very bright, that I didn't think that that would be good, because I don't want the path to necessarily be the focal point, right? Because I'm thinking I would want the flowers to be the focal point. So I wanted to make sure that I grabbed fabrics that didn't necessarily have a lot of color, or if they did, I used just a little bit. My plan was to use scraps, and I wanted them to be wonky. I did not do it straight. I know I have a space here. I have some overlapping. I have different colors. That was all on purpose. And I know, and we can do that together now, I have to trim the sides here. But the other thing I wanted to mention was, well, I was like, how am I going to sew this down? So what I decided to do was, it feels like, I don't know if this is a real term for stitching, but like a meandering stitch. It is just stitches in all different directions. So I guess it's very similar to the seed stitch, except the seed stitch is really small stitches, but they do go in all different directions, but they're closer together too. So it's kind of that concept, but it's bigger stitches and further apart, and it just makes it look a little wonky, and I like that. So that's my plan for getting the paths sewn down. So at this point, I haven't sewn the top yet. I have it folded over because I'm going to end up putting a dowel in there, but I haven't sewn that down yet. But as of right now, I do have this white lace sewn, this piece of the path, and I have sewn up to this next piece of the path. So this all here is all sewn down. So my next step is to trim it, and then it will be time to sew on this next piece of the path. And then I was thinking that, well, maybe, and I did mention this last week, that I would add some buttons and almost make them like they're stepping stones on the path. But I think that the buttons may take away from the flowers. Like, I don't want the buttons to be the main focus. I want the flowers to be the main focus. So once I have flowers stitched up here, then I'll figure out if these buttons are good or not. I really like them. I like them there a lot, but I'm just not 100% sure yet. The next thing that we're going to do is trim off this excess. I just moved this. So I need to turn this way. And since I have sewn up to here, that's as far as I'm going to cut. Now let's go ahead and sew down this piece of the path, and I'm going to be using this thread, and I got this thread from the thrift store, from a kit, like a crewel kit. So that's what I wanted to use. Now I like the way that this is on here. Again, it's all kinds of every which way. And, you know, a couple things that I do try to keep in mind. So the first is, you know, I want to get fairly close to the edge of this fabric right here. And the other thing that I like to, you know, I want to say be aware of is the edges and the corners of these pieces, because they can very easily curl up, or this piece is not laying flat. There we go. They could curl up, or, you know, over time, and I don't want that. So now I'm just going to go through here, and this is all I did before. Okay, so this piece of the path is now sewn down. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut just a little bit off of the edges, like just to down here, just so that you can see a little bit better what it looks like. All right, so now that's cut. Once I get the rest of this sewn on, which I'll do off of camera, then I'll be coming back and we're going to start stitching some flowers up here. Okay, so I am back after a few days and I've stitched everything down onto the snippet roll. And I'm going to show you that. Let me show you that first. So we had sewn, I think, up to here in the first part of this video. And then I sewed the rest of this on. Now, at the end of this piece of snippet roll, I have this lace, and it's hanging here. And that's because I'm going to decide at some point if I need to add onto this piece of the snippet roll, because I do have more. I have it ready, but I'm not sure if I need any more added to this, or if I do, how much do I need? I envision it right now, today, at this moment that I'm recording this, that this is like one substrate. It's one canvas. It's one thing that I guess really should be broken down into sections, but maybe I won't do it that way. Or maybe for the most part, I'll do it where the flowers are up here. But in some cases, maybe I'll have some, maybe I'll even have some come from all the way down here and all the way up and all the way up. Why not? Right? Why not? I think that would be kind of cool. I want to show you too, I did take out my green and I even pulled out some brown. Yeah, just different pearl threads that I thought I would use on here for the stems and the leaves. One thing that I'm noticing too is that I think I'm going to have to go into some, thicker yarns, because, this is nice, but it's very dainty and delicate, right? It just, like for a stem, it just is. And so I'm thinking I really need to pull out some of my heavier yarns. I just don't know how much green that I have, so I'll have to check that out. What I decided to do was look through my stash of yarns, that will be thicker. And I found this green, which is really nice. I remember I got these on Etsy. I have no idea from where or whatever. But I also pulled out like this beige color because I thought that might be able to be used. But I wanted to show you, and I know I've mentioned this, is one thing that I like to do is to, at the thrift store, buy for, $1 or $2 or $3, a whole kit. And it will have the pattern in it, the instructions, and the yarn. So this is one that I had purchased that I never even opened, but it does have a couple shades of green in it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this open, and I'm going to use even some of this yarn, and see, it has this green, it has like a mint green, and then there's like a, I don't know, like a darker green, like a forest green. So there's 3 greens right there that I can use. So I'm going to definitely pull these out. Oh, and here's like a like a more of a khaki kind of green. So look at that, just from this one thing. This is perfect. So I'm going to pull these out. Well, I like those yarns so much. I decided I'm going to actually do a stem stitch, but with this yarn. It's 3 strands. So I could take it apart if I wanted or needed to, but I want it to be thick. I want to give it a try. I do think I'm going to start kind of in about the middle of this piece of lace down here. And I'm going to go up over the path and maybe end somewhere around here. So what that will allow is then I can do the actual flower. And I'm going to start right about down here. And I'm going to see how easy or how hard it is with the 3 strands of this yarn. I really have no idea how it's going to work through this canvas fabric, because the canvas fabric is pretty, it's fairly thick, but not, it could go either way. So let me do a few of these and see. See, I like the thickness of it because you can really see it. Not that, the thinner one, it's not bad or anything. It's just thin, right? A little bit harder to see, but that's good because that can be a different kind of flower. I'm actually going through 1, 2, 3, 4, well, actually 5 if you include the lace, 5 layers of fabrics. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can pull this through. Yep. And then I'm going to come up in the middle. So maybe it'll be easier if I do each stitch individually. Maybe. Yep. Okay. So that worked. Maybe that's what I need to do. Okay. So let me see where this is going. So it almost looks like a flower like that, right? Come up here. So I'm going to basically come right up here, hopefully. But I definitely like that heavier stitch for sure. And now, I don't know. So like I could still put that there and I could still put that there, and that looks fine, right? That's my stepping stones. That still looks good. In fact, it looks really good. So now I just have to figure out what I'm going to do up here. it is now the next day, and what I did last night, like around 11 p.m., I came into my room here and I just sat and stitched. And I love the way my wildflowers have come out. And I do need, I have another vote for you guys that I need your help with. But I'll ask you that in a minute, so don't go away. I think I'm going to remove this leaf down here. I think that's one thing that I'm going to do because I feel like I think it needs to come away. So I'm going to remove that. But everything else on here I'm happy with. I'm happy with using that heavier yarn. I like the way this wildflower, it's a daisy. I like the way that it came out. This over here is a little wonky. I have a button in the middle here. And, I thought, oh my gosh, it needs more to it. And then I'm like, no, you know what? I think wonky's good, right? Because flowers are wonky. They can be wonky. And you have to remember that this is just the first prompt. So it's going to fill in more as I have more prompts. And then, well, let me ask you what your vote it would be for these buttons, these stepping stones. They are not sewn down yet. I really like them on there. I really, really, really do. So do you guys like the buttons on the path? Or, I think it makes it look a little busy, but I think this is going to be very, very, very busy by the end. And I have another flower I want to show you too, but do you like the buttons on or do you like them off? Let me know. Please vote. I need your help. Let's see. So then the other thing that I did was I sewed some feather stitches down here, and I have to say I'm loving the way that this came out. I did the feather stitches with the dark green in just one strand of yarn, and then I have this variegated yarn that I did the French knots for the flowers. And, let's see. I know I used these two, both of them being variegated. And you can see that they're, a thicker yarn. And I left them nice and thick. And the way that the colors came out, there's everything from like bluish greens to purples and pinks to oranges. Super pretty. So that is also another wildflower of mine. So this is what we have so far. And that's going to be it for the first prompt, because I have to make sure I have room for the rest of the prompts and I don't know what they are. So the bottom is still just the path with the lace. Then I have the feather stitch with the awesome French knot flowers. And then I have my two daisies. Can there be pink daisies? I guess I can make the daisies whatever color I want. So that's it for this week, and I will be back and we will continue on. I look forward to getting the next prompt, and thank you so much, Sarah and Rachel. Their links are below, so please go check out their videos and follow along with us. I'm learning. I'm just learning. So learn with me because we can learn together. But this is it so far. So I hope that you like it. Make sure to vote on the buttons. And and that is going to be it for this video. All right, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Oh, on Monday night, I'll have my next crafty chit chat and slow stitching video. So definitely stop by on Monday to watch that video. I'm working on a separate sewing project. All right, bye bye, everybody. God bless.